Hey, have you set a boundary with someone? Something like, I need space, or I'm not able to do this right now. And instead of things settling down, they ramp up. Suddenly you're getting long texts, urgent calls, messages from people asking what's going on. You're noticing that your heart rate is rising. Things feel really, really big and urgent. And so you find yourself explaining, justifying, rewriting messages late at night, wondering if you were too harsh, too abrupt, if maybe you should have said it differently or shouldn't have said it at all. I've been there recently, and I want to talk about what's actually happening in these moments and how to tell the difference between someone processing a boundary and someone pressuring you to take it back. Because I really think the more that you can see things objectively, the easier it is to get through these really hard moments. And now I'm not going to get into specifics, but I will offer a bit of personal disclosure in saying that I recently set a boundary that I believe was necessary for my kids' safety and my own well-being. And the response wasn't, I don't understand this, but I want to respect it. It was urgent, it was insistent, it was demeaning, guilting, and attempts to reframe my reality and undermine me, and a lot of pressure to explain myself over and over. Here's what I noticed happened in my body. The familiar pull to overfunction, to think about what others need, to smooth it over, to make people feel better so that the pressure would stop. Because my nervous system learned a long time ago that keeping things calm keeps things safe. But this time, I recognized what was happening. And I want to share with you, because if you're someone who's similar to me, you've maybe experienced this too, and maybe could use a little bit of what I learned to help you. So when someone responds to your boundary, they usually move in one of two directions: repair or pressure. Repair sounds curious, pressure sounds urgent. Repair can sit with discomfort, like disappointment, for example. Pressure wants it gone fast. Repair might sound like, I don't understand yet, but I want to respect this. Or this is really hard for me and I need time to process. Thank you for being honest with me. Or I hear what you have to say and I'm wondering if we can talk some about this. I'd like to understand better. Pressure can sound like, I don't understand how you can do this. You're overreacting. Everyone can see how you're being unreasonable. Or you said you need this, now I'm wanting to give this to you. You owe me an explanation. If you really cared about me, you wouldn't do this. Do you notice the difference? Repair respects your choice and your autonomy, even when it's uncomfortable. Pressure tries to move you out of your choice so that the other person can feel better. From an acceptance and commitment therapy perspective, which is the therapy that I practice, this is really about choice. So pressure tries to collapse your choice because someone else's discomfort feels intolerable to them. And here's the thing about that discomfort. I know this is hard, but it's true that it is not yours to manage. Your boundary is not the problem. Their discomfort with your boundary is theirs. And I know that you're a caring person and it would feel so much better to make it go away, but you cannot control how someone else feels about your limits, and it's not your job to. If you're someone whose nervous system learned that keeping things calm keeps you safe, then this pressure can feel so alarming. Your body reads it as danger. I need to fix this, make them feel better so that this discomfort and threat goes away. So it makes sense that you would fall into patterns of defending and explaining and justifying, that you would soften what you say. You might even go back on it, or you may just feel like you're trying to convince and rewrite your text messages 5 times. And this isn't because you are bad at boundaries, but your body is trying to restore equilibrium. So something that I feel like is really, really worth repeating is that explaining to someone works when the problem is confusion, but it does not help when the problem is the person's discomfort that they feel with the boundary. So we all have moments where we don't fully understand and clarity really helps. But when someone is just really upset or disappointed or hurt, more explanation just gives them more material to argue with. The other thing that I really, really feel is important to say is that you don't need agreement for your boundary to be valid. You don't need understanding, you don't need approval, and you don't need to think that for them to think it's fair. Now, would it be nice? Would it feel so much better? Absolutely, absolutely. But your boundary exists because you need it. Full stop. And it isn't your job to make the other person comfortable with your limit. Your job is to notice what's happening in your body. Your job is to be kind to the other person and to yourself and to choose what's workable for you. So sometimes this means not responding to the 5th text message, not rewriting the explanation, not taking a phone call, holding the boundary even when they're upset. And sometimes it also simply means recognizing this person isn't trying to understand. Maybe they never will be able to. They're trying to change my mind. And that is really, really important information. I'll be honest, this has been one of the hardest things I've navigated this year because my urge to overfunction, to make peace, to make sure everyone's okay, oh, it is still there. But I'm learning to notice that urge without obeying it. To let other people sit with their discomfort, even when my nervous system is screaming at me to make it stop. Because the alternative is abandoning myself, and I've done that plenty. So if you are in a similar place where you've set a boundary and the response feels more like pressure than repair, you are not alone. This is not uncommon. I wrote more about sort of like various patterns of overfunctioning, 10 in fact, and how to notice them and what to do about them. And I wrote a blog, and I'll link that below, and I think that ties into what I'm talking about here. So if that feels useful to you, you can go ahead and click that below. And after watching this video, if you're realizing that you would like more in-depth support in navigating this type of dynamic, that this is exactly the type of work I do in therapy, you can book a free consultation. I will also link that below. Thank you for being here, and take really good care of yourself.